Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. People are very optimistic right now about crypto in general, especially XRP, because there is some news that has come out that people are very much looking forward to. And I'll be getting into that in just a little bit, as well as a whole bunch of other news. The first thing that we should take a look at though is what's going on with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin has had a series of days in the red. We've actually got 5 days back to back in the red, almost. Look at this. Almost 9 days. We had a nice green candle on May 14th, but there were 3 days of red right before that. So a little bit of a break, then a further drop down. Right now we are seeing a bit of a pullback from the high on the day, which was around $77,800. Right now we're still above $77,000, sitting at about $77,300. And we also want to take a look at a couple other elements. So first off, I like to use the Fibonacci retracement, the Fibonacci extension, and that's what you're seeing with this colored line here of that upper section, that lower section. And so this is sitting at about $78,100. And we did end up having that close out on May 16th, like right on that line. Next day, big drop down. You guys see that going all the way down here to $76,600. And then came up, closed out red. Next day, dropped even further, closed out red. Next day, almost just as far, closed out red. So we technically have 3 days of closure in a row that are all below that Fibonacci zone. That is not good. That is suggestive of a trend, and actually a strong trend, which means we might have a further continuation down even more. This is stuff that I've talked about in my previous videos, and here we are right now. We're waiting to see how things continue to play out. This news that came out, people are more optimistic at the moment, and we have to see how it does move forward. So right now, we are getting fairly close. It didn't actually touch on that Fibonacci zone for the daily high, but we got pretty close. We can actually see that it's essentially the same level that we had back on May 18th, and that was at 77,750, 77,800-ish dollars. And we still have time for the day. And then just looking at volume itself, volume right now is almost as much as we had yesterday. So potentially throughout the rest of the day, we might see it be more comparable to, say, May 15th. If there's anything else significant, we might have it rise a bit more. I kind of doubt it, but maybe we could push towards May 18th levels of volume. And you can see that there's a dramatic price move that took place on May 18th with all of that. So we have to wait and see how this continues to play out. The Bollinger Bands themselves are actually starting to pinch a little bit closer now. So starting to come together. We might be seeing less volatility, maybe some consolidation sitting right around inside of this Fibonacci zone. Keep in mind, $75,000 to $80,000 makes sense that people would be waiting to see what's going to happen in those zones. And also on that lower Bollinger Band, we can actually talk about this too. Yesterday's candle was at about $76,000, which is essentially right on line with where that Bollinger Band is. Okay, now let's go ahead and move on to some major news. This is it, guys. Donald Trump just handed Ripple the keys. This is according to Bank XRP on Twitter. The Fed is now required to create transparent application procedures for digital asset firms seeking direct access to Federal Reserve payment accounts and must give a decision within 90 days of application. So the clock is ticking. We're looking at 3 months for this. Ripple applied for a Fed master account. The government just mandated a response. The wait is almost over. So again, we're looking at 90 days, approximately 3 months here. And the fact that Ripple applied for a Fed master account means that this could be quite bullish. And as you guys can see, it's getting a ton of engagement. So this is definitely on a lot of people's radar right now. And from Ash Crypto, Bitcoin and Ethereum are pumping after Trump ordered Fed to grant crypto firms direct access to master accounts. $25 billion has been added to crypto market in the past 4 hours. Ripple is the only crypto firm on CNBC's 2026 Disruptor 50 list. They rank it at number 16. Crypto ETFs posted negative $1.1 billion in outflows last week. The first withdrawal in 7 weeks. This also marks the largest weekly outflow since the beginning of February and third largest of 2026. Bitcoin led the withdrawals at negative $982 million, followed by Ethereum at negative $249 million, the largest since the end of January. However, Bitcoin has still attracted a positive $3.9 billion in total inflows year to date. Furthermore, crypto fund total assets under management fell about negative $2 billion, and that's to around $157 billion. Meanwhile, altcoins saw inflows last week with XRP at a positive $68 million and Solana at a positive $55 million. Crypto flows are becoming increasingly volatile. Just look at this chart, guys. And from Bull Theory, U.S. oil just crashed more than 3% in a 24-minute time span after today's EIA report shows a huge 7.86 million barrel crude oil draw. Markets were only expecting a 2.5 million barrel draw. Gasoline inventories also fell another 1.5 million barrels. The only negative data was diesel inventories rising slightly instead of falling. And $315 billion has been added to the U.S. stock market today when it opened up. The Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index is at 27, so we're still in the fear territory. Hasn't really moved much in the last day or so. And before I go on to the rest of the crypto news, and we're also going to take a look at XRP's price chart, I want to let you guys know about a crypto exchange called BTCC. I don't know if you've heard about this or not. It's been around for 13 years. You actually get access to over 300 crypto futures, up to 250x leverage. There's no VPN, no KYC required to get started. And there's also a bonus if you sign up using my referral link. You can get a 10% deposit bonus, and that's as long as it's above $500. So really nice, a 10% deposit bonus. If you want to look into it more, if you want to get started, you can find that out down in the description below. And also, moving on to the news, Federal Reserve reports 10% of Americans own crypto. I personally think that it's more than 10%. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a handful of people out there that just don't say anything about it. And then we've got $240 billion, as I mentioned, out of the stock market. So this is also coming from Ash Crypto. The stock market falls to lowest level of greed in more than 1 month. We took a look at this the other day. This is getting really close to neutral territory. And from this other individual, they're trying to claim that 59 is still greed. It took a 4.67% yield to finally dent a month of euphoria. And with GEX collapse, the market is checking the mood lighting while the suspension snaps. Interesting take. Project 11 partners with Ripple to advance post-quantum security on the XRP ledger, conducting a full audit of XRPL's validator, custody, and wallet layers for quantum vulnerabilities. Quantum level, right? People keep talking about how quantum technology is such a huge threat to crypto, so we have to figure out how to protect it right now before it actually becomes a major problem. So it's nice seeing that there's advances going in these directions. From Kalshi Crypto, Justin, Goldman Sachs sells $950 million worth of Bitcoin and Ethereum. So that was earlier in the day. And from South Carolina, they enact a pro-crypto law banning state taxes on crypto payments, protecting self-custody rights, and prohibiting state agencies from accepting or testing CBDCs. So a CBDC, for those of you guys that don't know, central bank dollar coin. And here's an interesting story. This should be illegal. A South Korean funeral company invested its customers' money in a leveraged crypto ETF and they lost $33 million. So here we go. Bumo Sarang, South Korea's 7th largest funeral service provider, took $40 million of prepaid customer funds and put it into the T-Rex 2X Long BMNR Daily Target ETF, a product that delivers twice the daily return of Bitmine, an Ethereum treasury company. The position is now worth $10 million. The funeral industry in Korea is regulated by the Fair Trade Commission, not any financial authority. The only rule is keeping 50% of prepaid funds in reserve. The other 50% is completely unregulated, meaning a funeral company can legally take half of every customer's burial money and invest it anywhere. 43% of South Korean funeral services providers currently hold fewer assets than the customer advance payments they are supposed to be protecting. Bummo Sarang called the $33 million loss a quote short-term unrealized loss due to global markets volatility. Ethereum is down 28% this year. Bitmine is down 34% because it is a 2x leverage product. Every daily move hits the position twice as hard. And now we take a look at what's going on with XRP, and I'll keep this pretty brief for you guys. 5 days of candle closure, green, looking pretty similar to what we have going on with Bitcoin, although with XRP, we actually have a bottom wick that's a little bit longer, and that Bollinger Band that we were talking about, essentially the same thing. That bottom, more or less testing the same price level, about $1.34 there, and actually at the moment we're sitting at $1.37. So it did go red for a bit, currently sitting in the green, and we're a little bit closer to the top of the wick for XRP, I would say, than that of Bitcoin, but they're fairly comparable. And we're looking at $1.40 as the level of resistance. And right now, essentially the same thing I was talking about with Bitcoin. We're still moving sideways here. Bollinger Band on this one, though, is more flat-lined. We saw with Bitcoin, it started to pinch in just a little bit. And that's what I got for you guys in today's video. Thank you so much, and I appreciate all my Patreon supporters and my YouTube members. God bless. We'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.